Hey man, how's it going?
Oh, not too bad. It was a nice day today. A lot of
hmm
traffic downtown on a Saturday for some stupid reason.
The traffic due to construction. It's always construction. And yeah,
Sure.
welcome back everybody to Bite My Shiny Metal Cast. I have returned to episode 11 of season 5, 300 Big Boys. And joining us today, surprise, surprise, Tristan. How are you doing, Tristan?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thank you, except for the traffic, obviously. But
hmm
no,
Hey,
it's
you
all
weren't
good.
affected by it today, were you?
I was, yeah, man. I was downtown
Oh,
today.
never mind then.
Yeah, I was all over the place today.
Oh,
But
what time were you off work?
uh, 5 ish, 4:30
Oh,
ish.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I got off at 4, so I could have used a ride. I used
Oh,
Uber for the second time in my life.
fair enough. And yeah, please like and subscribe if you like talking all things Futurama. Don't forget to comment if you want as well. And yeah, let's get right into our episode. Opening caption voted quote unquote best. We don't know what best means, but obviously it is the
Well,
best, and that's why we're talking about it. We love this show. But we get to open on a This Week in the Universe. It's a parody, of course, of This Week in History kind of thing, or This Week in the World. And it turns out that Earth, under Nixon, right, under President Nixon, and of course under the control of. Did you get this? Did you get this, you guys? What is Zap Brannigan's actual first name? I completely forgot about this little thing. We've never see this again, but it's like
Brannigan.
Weevilo Zap Brannigan, Captain. And that's what they. That's like his full name or
Oh, I
something.
missed that. That's crazy.
Did you miss that? Yeah. So when they're doing the whole presentation, so this presentation is basically talking about Earth versus Tarantulan 6. Okay, basically home of the spider people. Mitchell's favorite planet.
Down with them.
Mitchell's
Down.
Mitchell's favorite planet of all time. And Earth wins against the spiderlings or whatever they're called. And of course, Victor goes the spoils, right? So Earth basically as it's done in the past, certain countries have done in the past, we have them stealing out a bunch of items from the spiders, culture and everything, art, silk, jewels, treasures, all this fun stuff. So all this kind of stuff comes down, excuse me, and we have Nixon declare that it's basically worth $1 trillion. Okay. And this $1 trillion, he has now decided to, due to some kind of refund surplus, as he calls it, for the entire planet, everybody gets $300, Earthican dollars, as the name tells, 300 big boys. So let's start the opening here a little bit. I'll let you guys talk a little bit here. So, because there's this episode, I was just telling Mitchell off mic, this episode is a nightmare to write notes for. Like, there is so much going on. It is just a bunch of stories randomly put together, but they all have to connect. So you have to mention every single thing that goes on. But in any case, what do you guys think of this little opening thing? What do you think, Tristan?
It's good. I mean, it's the sort of parody of human imperialism. I thought it was great.
Yeah. I think that's kind of the point of this, right? It goes and fights these monsters or these creatures or people or whatever, and they take their stuff. How about you, Mitchell? Any thoughts about? Oh, besides the spiders themselves, down with the spiders.
Down with the spider people. That's all I got to say. Let's get them.
So you're
Go get
okay
them,
with them
boys.
invading in Tarantulan 6?
Yeah, less spiders is better. I mean, in terms of aliens, yes, less spidery aliens definitely is better.
Sure.
Spiders on Earth, I don't like them. That's why we live up in
But
Canada. We don't really have any.
remember, they're more closely related to Earth elephants than
Elephants.
Earth
That's right.
spiders. So
How do you
maybe
feel
that
about
will
that?
garner some sympathy for the alien spiders.
That also
No,
just makes me
screw
think
them.
of their size, though. Like they're as big as elephants, or some of them are as big as
Uh,
elephants.
in the scene where they're talking about, like, there's like I think like maybe 15 people versus 15 spider people kind of thing, and in the middle somewhere there's like just two of them like pretending to have a boxing match, and then like the human just lays them out with one punch. I like that. That was pretty funny because
Yeah, that was
like a
pretty
spider
funny.
has like 6 legs on the ground and it has like two up, going like come on,
He
come
just
on,
hits
come
him
on, like
once
a
and he falls
boxer.
over. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah. So
Yeah,
I think
it was a
somewhere
fun.
Zap Brannigan says like they're hard but supple skin
Yeah,
or something like that. He's so funny with that type of
yeah.
thing.
I do like the whole process with this, or the whole view of watching this whole thing unfold. I really like this. But of course, this is all taking place on TV, hence the This Week in the Universe situation, right? But we have, of course, who's watching said TV is our Planet Express crew, right? Our main characters. And they're all cheering because, of course, they have the $300 already. So this is something that's happened in the past. So while they're there, they're each discussing what they want to kind of do with their $300. We have Bender kind of tinkering with the idea of maybe getting some hooker bots, right? He doesn't know if
Well,
getting one really expensive one or 300.
or $301 hooker bots.
Exactly.
What would
So
you
we don't know
choose?
which
What
one.
would you choose?
Obviously, $301, Mitchell. Come on,
Yeah, but
because
the
they don't
quality.
expire. So, any case,
And they are robots, yeah.
we have Leela who wants to swim with a whale. Okay, Mushu, and one of my favorites, Scruffy, saying he wants to get a $300 haircut because his previous one has lost pizzazz. Zoidberg apparently wants to live like a rich man. He's never had money before, despite being a doctor, but he really wants to, feel what the rich people feel. He does get talked to by Amy to say, like, $300 really isn't that much. It's like maybe similar to maybe buying 100 cups of coffee, which sparks out Fry's idea of he's going to have 100 cups of coffee with his $300. And
Man,
this
the inflation on
begins.
coffee.
Yes, and this begins the whole countdown in the corner with Fry and his cups of coffee. So we start with 1. We also get to see, Mitchell and I discussed this last episode of the episode before, with the vending machine. So they do have a vending machine, this one specifically for coffee. But of course, we only ever really see these things when the episode or when the show needs it, right? So it's not really a big thing, but we do get another instance of our vending machine. Anyway, with all this stuff, he begins the coffee countdown, and then begins drinking his coffees. Now, as this begins, we have Zap Brannigan. Okay, he calls to invite Leela and her co-workers to I guess you can call this like kind of a black tie event where they're going to display all the spoils from the Tarantulan 6, war, okay, or the invasion, whatever you want to call it. Leela begrudgingly accepts, and it is tomorrow at 8. Okay, 8 p.m. So this whole episode basically takes place over the course of 24 hours, or very close to 24 hours.
Yeah.
So we cut over to downtown and a 99-cent store. And the only reason I mention this is because there's something that happens to it. I never noticed this until I rewatched the episode again.
Oh, I love it.
But the 99 episode, well, this I noticed, obviously. The 99-cent store sign turns into 299.99-cent store sign. And of course, who walks into said store is Hermes. It's not like we don't watch him. He doesn't say anything. We just see his little silhouette or whatever, his little body walk in there and nothing happens. But it is interesting because he does make mention of buying something from that store in the future. So I never actually noticed that until this episode, or until watching this episode again. So we have many, many people, all right, including, drug addicts, all this fun stuff. They're all enjoying their tax rebate because everybody on the planet got this $300. Amy and Kif are pedaling in an air bike. This air bike, of course, was paid more so by Kif than by Amy. Amy got tattoos.
Which we never ever see again or hear again.
But we do see, does she get... No, she does. We do hear her mention she does have a tattoo later in the Comedy Central run, but she only has one. But you're right. We never see this devil one anymore who keeps...
the obscure tattoo.
Mm-hmm.
The one that, on the low resolution TVs, they wouldn't be able to make out my dirty tattoo.
Oh,
yes.
Sorry,
that's
that's the second. So that's the first one. So is that one?
Oh.
In the future, there's actually another one where she's going to show a bad boy in the prison, and Kiv breaks up with her because of it.
Oh, okay.
So there is actually. So she does have tattoos, yeah. But this one would have been afterwards, obviously, right?
Okay, yeah. So the obscure one that Tristan and I were talking about, I think that was from one of the earlier ones. Like
we've talked about this one, because they didn't have HD TV. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah.
And this is the second time we see her with tattoos, especially talking ones, which she has 5 or something like that.
4 or 5 or something. Yeah, most of them
and
are.
Then one in the future where there's her having a tattoo. No. Isn't it just a guy showing her his tattoo?
Yes.
And she says, "Oh, I got one too."
Right. And then she's about to show him, and then Kif freaks out. And yeah, that's right. So she does have a lot of tattoos. She's one of those girls, but we never actually see the butt tattoos, whatever. Just the arm one.
Darn. Oh,
here's
the worst.
So we have Amy and Kif, right? They're flying through. So we have Amy and Kif flying through. And of course, we jump over to the professor. Okay, he wants to get stem cells. Okay, this is his idea. So $300 worth of stem
Now,
cells. Apparently, they're quite easy to acquire in the future, due
yeah,
to
this was also written back in 2003, where stem cells were still
controversial,
very
all this kind of stuff.
controversial.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's also interesting
and
as well
new.
because the professor likes being old, right? But he
Yeah,
does,
as I established earlier. Yeah.
yeah, but he does say that he's finding it difficult to clean in between his wrinkles, whatever that
Ugh.
means. So he wants to smooth out his skin so it's easier to, clean out his wrinkles or clean out his body. Any case, spends the $300, gets the stem cells, splashes all over his face in a very disgusting way. Across the street, we have Bender. Okay, he's at a shop. I think he's just looking at. I guess it's not really it is a cigar shop, but I think it sells a whole bunch of things. I suppose, right? So he looks at like $1 one, a $5 one, or whatever, a $300 one, which you think he's going to buy,
Whoa.
but he sees one called the Grand Cigar, which is about $10,000. And I'm trying to remember, Tristan. Do you remember what it's made of, or what makes this cigar so expensive in the first place?
It was made of a piece of the U.S. Constitution,
Right,
and it was
rolled
rolled
by
by Queen Elizabeth
During her wild years.
wild days.
That's right. And it was buried with, I believe, what was it, George Burns? Or not George, was it George Burns? Somebody Burns, who was then buried up, or sorry,
Montgomery,
yeah, he was then
Mr.
unburied
Burns.
or dug up, rather. That's the verb. He was dug up by like mushrooms or something, but then he stops and it says like apparently
Yeah, you know the
that's
rest.
normal news.
You know the rest.
Yeah, I
So
do
that
like
must
that little
have
joke. Yeah.
the implication that there was some incident with grave robbing mushrooms that everyone knows about.
Yes, and it's like a normal thing because Bender doesn't question it, right? It's like, you know the rest. Yeah, so that's pretty good. So Bender is like, a $10,000 cigar. I kind of want this. He offers him 300. The guy says absolutely not. So Bender's like, okay, fine. Instead of buying another cigar, which is $300, he buys $300 worth of burglary tools that will allow him to then later break into the shop and steal the $10,000
Say,
cigar.
what time are you closed tonight?
So a little bit, we have Hermes return home, and we see Dwight sitting on the stairs, and Hermes gives him a gift called bamboo boogie boots, which are pretty cool, actually, which he had bought from said $299.99 store.
Well, didn't
And
we have those moon
yeah,
shoes growing up that they were like crap or something? I can't remember because like it's kind of like
yeah.
a weird spring box or oval around your own shoe. But the thing is, that
So
I had giant feet, so it didn't work.
didn't really fit with you. So if I recall, there was a show. I can't quite remember what the show is, but there was a show and they had spring shoes, and it's literally like shoes with springs on them so people could bounce. I
Yeah.
think maybe it was Arthur, the show Arthur, like that kid show Arthur.
Oh, I wouldn't
And
put it past.
and around this time, that show was very, very popular. Maybe it was still popular years later, but it was very popular at that time. Those shoes were like big when I was talking with my friends back in the day. I remember the moon boots came out around that time. So they basically took this idea of these spring shoes and they made these boots that would allow you to like jump up and then jump, a little bit higher or bounce or something, right?
It would
And of
feel
course,
that way. It never worked.
it
though.
doesn't actually work because it's a safety hazard. It's like having a trampoline everywhere you go. Like they're probably not going to do that.
Yeah.
But the kids thought they could, and that was the point. That's what the parents were spending the
Well,
money
that's
on.
what a lot of those as seen on
Yeah.
TVs are for, right? For
That's
stupid
right.
people who are like it'll work.
And then
also,
there's
the
also,
infomercial.
I think
hilarious.
Flubber was also quite big at that time, and that's something he also did in that
Oh,
movie, right?
yeah,
And Robin Williams' character and such, right?
That was a remake though. The original Flubber was like in the 60s.
Okay, obviously I'm talking about the 90s one,
Yeah, the good one.
the good one, the Robin Williams one, the greatest.
Yeah.
So, any case, these boogie boots, however, are not bouncy boots. They are actually like
No.
the stilts ones.
Bamboo boogie boots.
Yeah, they stick out, they come out, and basically they make the person who wears them stand up like whatever, like
Stilts.
a few feet in the air, like 10 feet in the air or something, quite high up, and they can walk around and have fun or something. So Dwight says he doesn't want them because he wants to be boring. So Hermes freaks out, a little uncharacteristically, but he freaks out at him and says, fine, I'm going to wear them and I'm going to have fun with them because I'm going to get my money's worth. Yeah, go ahead, Tristan.
Did you catch how Dwight wants to be boring? because it comes up again later.
being an accountant, and doesn't he want to put stock or something into something, right? Yeah.
He wants to be prudently invested.
That's right. And
Be boring and prudently invested.
I was gonna say this, like, talk about dated references. Mitchell and I have been going through a lot of dated references recently in these episodes. This one is like, oh, how wrong they were. So, any case, here we are. Yes, he wants to be. What was it? He wants to be invested.
Prudently invested.
Prudently
I think,
invested. Thank you. Prudently invested. To which Hermes says, "Whatever. I'm going to enjoy these boots." Puts them on. They kind of go out of control, pop him up 10 feet in the air. He can't control himself, and Dwight tries to help him, and they end up walking around. And Hermes and Dwight are just walking around the rest of the episode uncontrollably with these stilts. We'll leave them at that for now. So, as they do, as he starts his walk, I guess, the two of them, we have him passing the professor, leaving this. I actually kind of like this. GeneWorks, which is a parody of DreamWorks, right? Which is kind of cool.
DreamWorks was relatively new at this point. Like this episode came out in 2003, so Shrek 1 was already out. I can't remember specifically what came out after that.
DreamWorks has been around for a long time. They were well into the 90s. I think it was just like it was a growing brand because it was competing with Pixar, right? And that was and big
Disney,
thing. Yeah, well, mostly Pixar. Well, Pixar was owned by Disney, right? So it was mostly that.
Least it was a weird relationship. Now they're technically owned by them, yeah.
Right. So so GeneWorks, parody of DreamWorks, and even has like the little guy sitting on like the moon or whatever, and he has like a helix DNA, coming out or something. Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Strand.
So the professor exits the building, and of course he looks quite young. Apparently, he looks about 25 years old. He sees a pretty girl after he's about to yell at some teenagers, or like I guess they can't,
as an old man would, with loud music.
Exactly, with loud music. But he sees this pretty girl. She must be in her 20s or whatever as well. And he says like, "Oh, turn the music up." Like he wants to impress her, kind of thing, right? He doesn't want to act old because he wants to be with this girl. Go for it.
We know she's under 25 because in the next scene she says to, "I can't believe how hip or with it you are for someone who's 25."
Yeah,
as old as 25.
That's right. So she must be like 18 or something, we'll say, right? Hopefully 18. That professor, man, he's still got it. He's still got it. So, meanwhile, like I said, so many stories. Meanwhile, Zoidberg, who's been trying to live like a rich man, okay, he's going to Randy's, I guess Randy owns a jewelry store, and he's trying on some jewelry on his little whatever, mandibles, tendril, whatever you want to call them, his little face things. And he hates it. He thinks they are nothing more than, precious, or not precious, but like shiny stones that people wear or whatever. He doesn't really care for them. Which, to be fair, well, to be fair, actually, this also does stand to reason why Zoidberg wouldn't care, because he can make these himself. He spits them out, right? If he eats too much dirt, which we found out in the episode with Beck.
Yeah, but those are more, I would say, pearls than gemstones. Right,
but they're still shiny stones. They're still shiny rocks, right? They're worth a bunch and all this kind of stuff, and people wear them. People wear pearls as well, right? So, any case, he doesn't like it. He leaves and scuttles out. Okay. Now we cut over to Leela. She's one of the few that actually have kind of stuck with her, main thing, right? And that is, of course, going to the aquarium, and she's going to buy a ticket to swim with Mushu the whale. We meet for the first time. I don't know, Tristan, have you seen episodes? I think there's one or two other episodes with this character, the whale biologist, who just happens to hate everything he studies, but he still like studies it. Have you seen
actually
before?
I can't specifically remember that, but no. I mean, there's still a bunch of episodes I actually haven't ever even seen.
Fair enough. Yeah, he's popped up in the most recent series of the Hulu revival. He's also popped up, I believe he came up one time in the Comedy Central run, but I'm trying to remember.
Has been
or in the movies, maybe.
He's been in 4
of
the TV shows, 2 of which were cameos, so he didn't speak in those.
Oh, okay.
And he was also in 2 movies. The Beast with a Billion Backs, just a cameo. I think he was in one of the date scenes with Yivo, whatever, and obviously he most likely was in the audience in the Wild Green Yonder.
Wild Green Yonder, because everybody was.
Who wasn't?
Okay. That's right. So the whale biologist who just, happens to hate everything that he studies and whatever.
A jackass.
But I will say, I really like the whale biologist. I think he's actually quite funny, especially this episode, especially with this line. I'll just so I don't forget. But when Leela says, like, "Well, why do you study whales then if you hate them?" He's like, "I don't know you well enough to get into that." And I'm like, "That's a good answer."
That's a very good answer. Yeah.
So, in any case, he takes her money and gives her the ticket. She has to be there at noon the next day, which means it's the day of that 8:00 p.m. event. Okay. To swim with Mushu. Okay. So at this point, Fry is also there with her, and he's at, I think it's called Starfish Bucks or something, like a Starbucks ripoff or whatever. And he gets another coffee. This is only his second one. Mind you, this cup that he gets is worth, like, Tristan, how big would you say this cup is worth compared to what he was drinking before? Like, there's got to be like at least 4 in there. He's got to be finished 4 coffees by the end of that. It's a whale size.
It looked like one of those steins, like, of beer that I made you drink once.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's like one of the. It's like if you go to like 7-Eleven or something, and you get like an extra large Slurpee. It's like that size, but of coffee, right?
Super big gulp or whatever.
Right. It's a giant cup of coffee, and it only says 2 in our little counter, but I'm sure it will add up because later we'll see it's much higher, right? So I'm pretty sure he's drinking like 4 or 5 cups of coffee with that. So
yeah, it's the cups are not defined, right? Like it's like that Sleeping Beauty movie where, like, oh, cups, I need cups of stuff to make a thing, and the fairy godmother just grabs like 7,000 different types of cups. There's like coffee cup.
Oh, that's because she doesn't understand what cups means because they've never done a day of work in their life because they have magic. Yeah, I know what you mean, but
magic.
Yeah.
Oh, just as an example, like they're not defined.
Cup is not the measuring cup, but then a cup of
it's not
cup of something.
247 milliliters, whatever it is.
Right. So Fry continues drinking this, and as he does, we have Kif and Amy. As I've mentioned, they've been on this little pedal bike and all this kind of stuff. They're still going there, but it turns out Kif has also bought her a gift. He's also bought her a nice watch, a watch that will have their times, because obviously Kif is always away in space because of his job. He has a watch that dedicates the time to what Amy has and what he has. Okay, so that they can always tell each other or tell when each other are apart. Or I guess it's Amy will. He doesn't have one, but she will. So the tattoo makes fun of him, but of course Amy's, loves how Kif is sensitive and cares about her and all this stuff. So she likes it. And as she's giving him a hug, they kind of drop, and she also sees Leela and Fry, tries to wave at them. And all this craziness, the watch falls off their little pedal bike in the air, lands in Mushu's mouth, and Mushu the whale eats it. Okay, so this is how their stories start to intertwine. So later, we have Amy and Kif and all those guys have returned to the Planet Express. Kif is very sad because, the watch is gone. He feels bad that he could get it back or whatever. Zoidberg makes mention that it was something similar to happen to him when he ate another watch that apparently Kif had given Amy before. And it turns out that the way they got it back was by making him sick. Scruffy, who's back with what is this? A pink mohawk or something?
Yeah.
It's $300 haircut. Excuse me.
What a
$300 haircut. Yes. He hatches a plan, and what they need apparently is to get a bunch of stuff to try and make this whale get sick. Okay. So apparently it's going to be maybe like rotten fish of some sort. So the crew have gone to Elzar's. We're a little bit later in the evening now. Fry has another cup of coffee there. He's now at 31 cups. Okay. The professor is also there. He's on a date with said girl. Apparently, this is where, right, you were talking about Tristan, alluding to the fact that he looks 25, and to her, he seems like worldly or like older, right? So she must be much younger, a little bit younger. And we have Leela sneak into the back of the kitchen and unplug the fridge that has a bunch of fish in it. Thus, we know in the future that they're going to go rotten overnight, and then they'll be able to probably take it, because Elzar is not that bad to sell people rotten fish, at least not by itself, right? It has to be a certain amount. So,
wow, you forgot to say that.
He said,
"Go ahead."
You go ahead first, Mitch.
No, I was just gonna say, like, Leela unplugs it. She went, like her trademark little thing that she does all the time. Opens the thing.
Yeah, I figured that would have been a joke one of us could have talked about in the end, right? But yes, she goes, and then unplugs it. She doesn't kick it or anything, just unplugs it. Yes, and you're talking about go ahead, Justin, with Elzar throwing it
well,
out.
He specifically says, I think he says, this is too rotten even for jambalaya.
That's right.
So he's willing to sell rotten fish, but this is too rotten.
Exactly. So we know he does have a limit, right? He does have a limit. And of course, before the evening goes over or whatever, we also have Zoidberg trying yet another rich person thing, which is, of course, fagua and caviar. And fagua being
what's fagua again?
Goose liver, and caviar being fish eggs. I'm going to assume neither of you have ever had either of these before. Am I correct?
You're correct in my case.
Okay.
I think I've had some caviar, but it was probably like low grade stuff, so it wasn't that good to me. So no.
And you've never had fagua?
No,
okay.
I kind of forgot that was goose liver because fancy food to me is not necessarily that good when I can make my own home cooked meal just as good as what I like.
Sure, and it's also not very filling, right?
Sure.
Just basic stuff for you. Other people can disagree with me, obviously. When I tried the fagua that I had or whatever, it's very dry, and it's very like the flavor is not very good. The texture is kind of weird, so I didn't really like it myself. Caviar is what it is. I don't really go for it myself, but I have tried both of these things, and I do like that Elzar does point out like apparently, only the rich really like these things because they're bad enough or disgusting enough or whatever that only they will like it because it's expensive, right? Only some people.
Yeah, there's a lot of food like that out there.
It's a niche thing. It's a niche thing more than it is anything else, right?
It's a rich way to make it, so that way it costs more. So only rich people like it.
Mm-hmm. And only some people will, go out of their way to try it or whatever, right? So, any case, that's what Zoidberg rejects it. He says no, and he kind of scuttles off again, but in a very proper way. We'll say he's becoming more and more like that. So
sophisticated.
The following, later that night, again before the Elzar's thing, that night Bender breaks into the cigar shop with that and with his tools. He steals the grand cigar, and as he's leaving, we get seen that, or we're shown rather, that the camera in there, like a security camera, which is lasered to the police station, and URL or Earl and Smitty, right? Smitty, the two of them, the two cops that we've come to grow and love, or have come to love in this show, they see that it's Bender there taking it, and they're going to go and, take him down. Even though he's wearing a mask, but I guess they know Bender well enough now that they just know all of his disguises. Who knows?
Well, he's a bending unit, so.
And it's the one bending unit that ever commits crimes, I guess. Yeah.
We've only ever seen two bending units, Bender and Flexo.
When the original series, yeah. In the newer shows, right, we see his uncle or whatever.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I choose to ignore that.
Sure. So, in any case, next morning, Amy and Leela and Kif steal the fish after Elzar throws it out, making the comment about the jambalaya. Fry, later we see drink 52 cups of coffee while he's sitting with Bender in a cafe, and they're talking about smoking the cigar. Bender decides to save it for the event, later that night, because he wants to blow the smoke in only the rich people.
His face.
There's a lot of like, we could probably talk about this at the end, but there's definitely a direction this episode is trying to make people think. Like it's not just neutral. It's pretty biased in one way or another, but I like it. So Leela takes said rotten fish. She's wearing like her one-piece bathing suit with all this fish obviously in her belly, around her stomach. The whale biologist calls her out, and Leela goes into the swimming pool with Mushu, and Mushu eats the fish as well as her bathing suit. Okay. So later, Zoidberg is golfing. Okay. He's not liking it. He's also, he's trying rich people sports at this point now. He just snaps it in half because he's, a giant crab. Snaps it in half. Doesn't like it. The prof and his girlfriend, I guess at this point, or his date, right? It's been a day. They're having some fun in a nearby picnic as Zoidberg has hit one of the balls and hits him there. Okay. So they're still kind of connected to the main plot. At the aquarium later, the whale biologist is doing a demonstration in front of an entire crowd, and our crew is all there witnessing it. And unfortunately, of course, Mushu gets sick from eating all that rotten fish and spits up everything, including the watch. So Kif gets excited.
Here.
Go for it.
The sound effect for the whale thrown up is Maurice LaMarche. who also,
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I think I've heard that before.
He also,
yeah,
he gets a royalty check from the movie Elf because during the scene where where Buddy chugs down a whole thing of pop and burps for like 30 seconds, that's literally Maurice LaMarche, and he gets a little check every year for it.
Every time they play it during the
Christmas
season.
So there's just a little fun fact.
That is a fun fact. I like that. And then, of course, he's doing so. Go Maurice LaMarche. He does a lot in this episode. Actually, he's like the Mr. Universe guy at the very beginning. He's Kif. He's a bunch of these random characters all over the place. Like he does a lot in this episode.
IMDb only has him billed for 4.
That's still pretty good. I mean, so Billy West is doing like 4 or 5, but those are his main characters, right? You can't really.
Billy West has 8.
And at this point, Maurice LaMarche is not a main character guy, right? Not a main actor, right? He's still like,
yeah, I guess so, yeah.
So you got to give him credit, right? Still 4 things, and one of them is whale throwing out. Whatever.
Does 4 as well.
Yes.
And David Herman is doing 6, including the whale biologist. So
nice. So Scruffy and the whale biologist are the same person. That's great.
Yeah. And Dr. Ben Beeler, leg mutant, who's also in this. And then the devil tattoo, along with a cigar store clerk.
That's right. So after all of this, Kif jumps into the pool, right? He's going to retrieve the watch. And of course, as he comes out, he's also covered in, the whale vomit. And, he's so happy about it. But it turns out the whale biologist doesn't want him leaving with, quote unquote, aquarium property. So he has the police arrest him because the police are there looking for Bender, who sneaks away because he
better listen
that they're looking for him.
The guy's a whale biologist.
Exactly. So later in the evening, at the reception, okay, people are starting to arrive. We have Judge Whitey, show up, I guess, with his wife or whatever. They go through this little security thing. I mentioned this because they'll come back in a little bit, but the hobos try and get in, the 2 that we've seen before. I think we saw them in 30% Iron Chef, right, where Bender's trying to become a chef. And they get blocked out by some kind of security thing. Okay. Basically like an invisible door or force field that blocks them from entering. So it's only for specific people, only for the rich. And Zap is seen chatting with a bunch of other ones, including we see Mom, we see her 3 sons, a few other people sprinkled around there that we've kind of, come to see around the show once in a while. Zoidberg is walking by, and Brannigan is talking about this nice big tapestry that was made while he was attacking the Tarantulan home planet, and they wove it, right?
Which is funny because spider silk.
Yeah, and it's exactly spider silk, like a spider web thing. It's a beautiful tapestry and everything. Zoidberg walks over and says, well, I mean, if I don't really like it, but if rich people might like it, maybe I should buy it. So he does his famous meme, "One art, please," which we've seen in the past. One something, please, right? This is where it comes from. Mom laughs at him and says, "Wow, that's actually a pretty good joke of a poor person." And it turns out the tapestry is worth $1 billion. Exactly. Zoidberg is absolutely saddened by this. He thought he had all the money in the world, all this stuff, but it turns out he's still nothing compared to the people in this room. And he just doesn't know what to do with himself. The money did nothing for him. Okay. One of those things. I think Zoidberg actually has a really good story in this episode. So Fry is there, has 99 cups of coffee. Okay. Judge Whitey.
Remember, this is within a day. It's within a day.
It's within the day, yes. From the time that they got there, like they started that, and then the next day at 8:00 p.m. This is 8:00 p.m. now. All right. So it's probably been just over, we'll say 30 hours. It's just been over that, right? So he has the 99 cups of coffee. Judge Whitey and Bender are talking. Okay. Bender smokes it or spits the smoke or whatever, blows the smoke in his face. All right. Amy talks with Scruffy because, of course, Kif is arrested, so he's not there with her, and she's all sad and Scruffy. I can't get over the scene of Scruffy's like in a nice suit and a pink mohawk, and he's just like, And they're talking about how, Kif will be okay in prison. It should be okay. Mind you, it should, shank or be shanked. And
shanked or be shanked.
Amy's a little like, oh, of course. And she's still crying about it, right? But we do have Kif then seen in the prison. He's perfectly fine. He's in an isolated one. And the whale biologist is saying, listen, just give us our property back and we'll drop the charges. he says, fine, take the watch. And he says, we don't want your stupid watch. It's not the watch you have on you. It's the whale vomit. Turns out to be something called ambergris. Okay, ambergris,
Precious
which
hamburgers?
is ambergris, which is actually a real substance that is made inside the belly of whales and all this stuff. It's used for perfume. It's a very what would you say? Very expensive, very well desired, ingredient in perfumes
it's
and all
such a
these
weird
kinds of
thing
things.
in real life, because if I remember, this is how it's correctly made, because sperm whales go and hunt colossal squids and giant squids and stuff like that, right? And they digest most of it, right? Except for the beaks, which are like actual, like kind of almost like bird beaks, but on a squid. And so they can't digest it. So then it gets covered in a mucus, which kind of turns into like this waxy substance, which is the ambergris. And apparently, even if you find this on, like, you don't go and hunt down and kill a whale, which is what was a thing way back when, and even nowadays, sort of.
Right.
That if you even find a thing of ambergris, because they vomit it up, I think. I don't think they excrete it. They actually vomit it up. If you even find it on the beach, you could get in trouble.
Yeah, like it's an endangered thing. You're not supposed to. It's the same thing. Like if you go to Africa, and if for whatever reason, like a warthog or something, if it has its tusk fall out, like you didn't do anything to the warthog, but you just find this tusk on the ground and you try and take it out of Africa. If the police find out, they can have you could have serious consequences for doing so, because it's ivory or something, right? Like they're not okay with that. So yeah, it's very similar for it. So in any case, Kif agrees to, like, oh, okay, you just want this ambergris on you, that's fine. And we also do get a small weird cameo of like our celebrity, quote unquote celebrity cameo of Roseanne, if anybody remembers Roseanne from 25 years ago. But she's
she had
doing this little thing about the fun facts with Roseanne or whatever, and she talks about ambergris.
Was that actually a TV show back in the day?
Honestly, I don't know. I will admit this is a reference that I think even I was too young. Like, I think we were all too young to really understand what this was at the time that this was made. So at this point in time, anybody who's watching this episode is like, who the hell is Roseanne? And that's basically,
I know she was on the Connors or whatever. That's the new show, but she got kicked out of it. And she was in there with John Goodman. I know that much. She had a TV show back in the 90s.
Wasn't that Rosie O'Donnell?
No. Rosie O'Donnell was like a host, like a TV host, like daytime host, like Ellen. But
so Roseanne was the one from there. Okay.
Yeah,
if
TV
that's
show.
the case. So Kif,
don't think it was this reference though. I think that was
no. So Kif is fine with giving over the ambergris. He just sheds his skin, because he's basically a lizard thing, and gives it to him. But he does save a little bit of this ambergris apparently. So back at the reception, Bender continues smoking. He blows in like Morbo's face and other people's faces and all this kind of stuff. Like, all the people are here, and the professor and his girlfriend, whatever, are hanging out underneath this dress that I guess one of the Tarantulan robe or whatever, the Tarantulan queen or something wore. Okay.
Yeah, like a king's robe.
And they're like, making out and all this stuff, but wouldn't you know it, just like Cinderella, the professor's body starts to change because it's been like a certain amount of time, and he's looking old again. So he runs out crying. She follows after him, and they have this nice heart to heart about like, turns out we're not who we said we are. He's really old.
I do like his excuse.
What's his excuse?
Gotta go Fight Club.
Oh, Fight Club, right? That's right. So he looks really old now. She says, yes, I also used my $300 for my own procedure. She pulls a belly button ring, and turns out she's massive. She's like really, obese, really, really fat.
Clinically obese.
Like, she was like,
and I love
hot,
the professor.
now she's like fat.
Yeah.
So
I love the professor. So she's like, I gotta be honest. And he's like, well, that certainly is honest.
Yeah. So, but it turns out true love can fight anything, and the two of them end up being together anyway. And it's fine. It's fine. Whatever. He's 170 years old, by the way. Whatever. And she's, probably 18. So then Kif shown there afterwards, and he's talking with Amy and says, like, yep, I snuck this out. It's like this perfume that I'm going to make for you and everything. And she's like too excited, so she takes it anyway and basically puts this ambergris on her back. Everybody freaks out at the smell. And we have Zoidberg, who walks by all sad after everybody's, upset, or after he's upset, rather. Everybody else is pissed off because of the smell. He goes out into the alleyway, and, basically mumbles to himself about how money never brought him happiness. And we see the hobos again. They're digging through the garbage can and maybe going to give Zoidberg an idea. Back inside, we have all of them talking. And as they're doing so, Hermes and Dwight, who have been kind of walking around in the background this whole time, pop in, accidentally, knocking the cigar out of Bender's hand, which hits one of the silk threads, which are incredibly flammable, thus causing a giant fire. Okay. And everybody is trapped inside because the fire has spread around basically like a web. Now, everybody's panicking. Everybody's trying to get out. They don't know what to do. Fry, in his ultimate wisdom, has one more cup of coffee to finish off his $300, hitting 100. Now, this is a great scene because it's something that has been done before. And mind you, it's been done very well, more recently. But Futurama did it first. Fry drinks the coffee and basically becomes Quicksilver, okay, from the X-Men.
Or the Flash.
Or the Flash. But I'd say this is more, again, this is before any of those, and it predates it by at least 15 years. Or at least 10 years. Fry basically slows time down around him, and he's able to run really, really fast, and he saves everyone. Puts out the fires, moves everything, and everybody doesn't even know. And I'm trying to figure out, so Tristan, on your guess, how fast, if you could quantify it, how fast do you think he's going? Because I was trying to figure it out. The fire is barely moving, but it's still moving, so we know that he doesn't stop time. Right, he's still just really fast, but the hummingbird arms, which can go like how many beats per minute?
And you can see them moving like this.
See them moving up and down. Like that's how fast he's going.
I don't know even how to quantify that. Like we would have to look up the wing rate of hummingbirds.
It's 50 to 75 times per second.
Okay, and it slowed down to about 1 second-ish.
Yeah.
So he's moving 50 to 70 times ballpark faster than an average human. And notes that he's not running around. He's just strolling around from his perspective.
That's right. Yeah, he's very happy while he's doing it. He's just blowing out whatever and moving this, and he's just carrying them. Yeah, that's right. So he's not in a hurry. Fry's very, very okay with this. So one of the best scenes ever created, which they later do with other things in other franchises, but of course they're not referencing Futurama, just they did it first, clearly. But yes, Fry saves the day. He brings them all out, he blows out the fire, but unfortunately, as Nixon states, everything's gone. The whole surplus, $1 trillion burned up, destroyed. So everybody's all disappointed, at least the rich are all disappointed from it. So they're all outside now. But Zoidberg is there. He says, hey, look, everybody, I used the money that I thought would make myself happy, and I'm going to give my friends here, my hungry friends here, a nice meal. And so he spent $300 basically getting buns and turkey dogs, like hot dogs, that he's going to make, and he's going to give to his homeless friends. And they welcome the homeless, welcome the rich to sit with them and have some of these turkey dogs. And wouldn't you know it, they're all very okay to do so. You're never too rich to enjoy a good turkey dog. So
says mom. No,
it says Judge Whitey. Mom says, what the hell? Yeah, she's like, oh, what the hell? And she follows on. She's like, okay, sure, I'll do it, whatever. Judge Whitey wants one. Yeah, the judge.
That's
yeah.
surprising.
So they all sit down and they all enjoy their nice turkey dogs. At the very end, we have Bender saying, at least I didn't have to learn a lesson, but the police show up and they start beating on him. And he gets closure.
Yeah, closure.
And we finish off a little bit different. They have a little bit with the Futurama credits and Roseanne basically mocking the audience and doing her noun thing with Futurama, an idiot or whatever. And yeah, that is 300 Big Boys. So what do you guys think of this episode? What's I guess Tristan, we'll go with you first. What do you feel?
So I really liked this episode when I saw it in my youth. It was probably right around the time I started, getting just a little bit into coffee. So I thought that was, hilarious.
I was going to ask, what's the most amount of cups of coffee you've had in a day?
5. and then I didn't want any more. Like it was like starting to give me heartburn. So
Zero
that range.
Well, I guess maybe half of one.
It's also worth noting that coffee varies in strength quite a lot too, depending
on how you brew it.
Yeah.
So
and what roast
in the sort of 5-ish range,
mm-hmm.
5 standard-ish coffees.
Yeah. I remember you saying long ago when we were kids or whatever, I remember you saying like, oh, you thought that scene where Fry becomes like super quick, you thought that was quite funny, right? It was like laugh out loud funny. Do you still find it laugh out loud funny?
Yeah, I mean, I remember like almost being like giddy, like just it was so, it tickled me just so funnily in the right spot. It didn't tickle me quite as much today, but
it's still there, right?
Yeah,
it's still talking really about it. I think when you talk about it with people, you're like, oh, that's funny. I like that.
It is so clever, and it must have been the inspiration for the Quicksilver scene and a few other kind of similar scenes.
It's just when I watched it again, I was like, oh my god, this is just like that scene. Like of course, Quicksilver's came way after, but I'm like, maybe there's somebody on that writing staff who was like, did you guys see that episode of Futurama? Like,
probably
from 2003, but
because his mannerisms are identical. Like he's so casual, like just like playing with things,
and
like
he's walking.
It is actually the same scene.
The music changes, although it's not an upbeat like pop song or something, but it's just, I guess the Quicksilver one wasn't, but it doesn't change the music or anything.
Which one?
Well, the first
two,
one,
right?
Time Was in a Bottle. The first one, the one that made it super, famous, right? The first one. The second one has what is it? Yeah, like the Sweet Dreams. Sweet Dreams, right? Yeah. So that one's a bit more poppy, but yeah, like both those songs are supposed to be kind of juxtaposed to what's actually going on in the scene when he's saving everybody, right? But Fry's is like this nice casual music. Everybody's panicking, the fire, and it's just like it's just
more like
enlightenment.
Like they portray the whole thing as he's reached a stage of enlightenment.
That's right. That's what it is. Yes, totally.
I'm pretty sure that if you did it in real life, your heart would explode or something. That matter. Exactly. So, some kind of blood vessel in your body would go. Oh!
Your body would not be able to let you drink it. It just wouldn't. It would spit it up before that would ever happen.
Because I've gone through like different stages in my life where I've consumed large amounts of caffeine, even more than like the 5 cups of coffee a day, because I was taking caffeine through other means.
Right.
So
right.
And my wife was concerned, and I was concerned.
Yeah.
Says the guy taking them. Yeah. I'm concerned. I'm taking this too. Hold on. Let me drink this.
So
coffee time.
I've done extensive research like on caffeine, like in terms of like reading. I've read through the Wikipedia article entirely. I've looked up some medical. The consensus is you can overdose and kill yourself on caffeine, but it would be very hard because it's an extreme diuretic. Like your body's able to flush it out very quickly.
Oh, that's right. That's true. Yeah, we actually never see Fry. I mean, obviously we wouldn't, but we don't ever see Fry like need to use the washroom or something, right? So that's true. But he does get jittery, and he does get angry, and all these kinds of things. Right? He does have all those stages of, at least at 30 cups, he's already kind of freaking out, right? So okay, fair enough. And how about you, Mitchell? Your opening thoughts before we get into the discussions here.
Well, you're right. There's just a lot of moving pieces here, and eventually they all kind of come together. And I think the last piece to kind of come together was not Zoidberg, was Hermes kind of thing. He was kind of the reason why all the fire started. Yeah. And
he basically just finishes off the story.
Yeah, there was that joke too to him with Dwight. It's like, seeing how those shoes only cost me $299.99, I'm going to give you this penny. To which Dwight says, I'm going to invest it into Amazon.
Yes.
Which at this point was it still doing books? like just what was it?
I think it was just
Amazon
books.
Doing?
Amazon may have been just starting to venture into other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hence the risk.
So this is before it became the behemoth that it is nowadays, with movies, terrible TV shows,
deliveries,
terrible delivery companies, whatever you want to call it. So before it became the titan that it is today. Did he ever get that bridge demolished for his yacht to move, or was that all just a big stunt?
I mean, you can also talk about slave labor, but sure, yeah.
I hate Amazon as
a lot of reasons to hate Amazon. Yeah.
I looked up how much money Dwight would have if he had invested either the penny or if he had invested the full $300.
No,
on
seriously? Okay. And what'd you get?
Well, it's up 150x. So 1 cent would only be worth $1.50. But if he did the $300, is it about $45,000?
Okay.
If you put the $300 in.
Okay. Okay. But this is also, don't forget, like I'm forgetting this as well. When he says that scene, when they're talking about that scene, this is 1,000 years in the future. So we can, if we really want to make whatever, Amazon has gone really high and then gone very low, basically disappeared. It's no longer a thing. And now investing in it again is considered a risk. All right. So let's talk a little bit then about our favorite scenes, favorite jokes, MVPs, and of course, Tristan is our guest. Go ahead. What are your top 3 here? What are you thinking? I mean, mine is the Fry one. Mine's the Fry one. Absolutely.
You literally could say the fire one, man. You love that one, right?
Yeah. You know what?
The Fry one is awesome. I also enjoy the intro with like the fighting of the tarantulas. I think that's just really cool. I don't know. It sparks my imagination. But I'm sorry. Go ahead. What is yours? Yeah.
It does have to be the slow down. 100 cups of coffee.
The Quicksilver scene before the Quicksilver was a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I was trying to think if there was other scene, but there isn't another scene that's like as iconic. No. So it's got to be that scene.
Not for this one, especially because as you described what that coffee thing was, especially with like he gets like the higher enlightenment or whatever when he gets that 100 cups. That's exactly what it is because that's why he's so calm. He's like, why are we panicking? What's right? That's the whole thing. So absolutely. Okay. And then do you have a favorite joke or anything?
I don't have a specific favorite joke, but this episode is almost uniquely quotable in the sense of like one art, please, and then
right,
like, and there's a few like I love
one art, please, yeah.
Actually, my favorite one probably is when Fry and Bender are at the restaurant talking, and he's like, "Of course, I've been up all night, not because of coffee." Insomnia. I couldn't stop thinking about coffee.
Right.
That one's pretty good. Yeah,
that is pretty good. I like that as well. So, am I going to say then? Am I going to make a guess? I don't normally guess, especially Mitchell. I normally guess because it's pretty easy for me to guess on his. But for yours, am I going to say Fry is your MVP? Is that true?
Yeah. It has to be.
Okay. No, that's fair, man. I mean, Fry doesn't speak much in this episode. Mm-hmm. He doesn't, but he's so funny. Like when he gets to that point. So
and there's so many other like strong characters in this episode in particular, and some of it is kind of throwaway stuff, like the whole thing with Dwight and his father about investing and the shoes. It's almost like throwaway gags, but it's so good.
Yeah. And I'll talk about this a little bit afterwards as well. But yeah, okay. How about you, Mitchell? What about your MVP? Your favorite scene, favorite joke?
Oh, I don't know. Like Zoidberg was great, but I don't think he'd be my MVP. I'd probably say the whale biologist just because of how much of a jackass he was. Because like when Leela has all the fish stuffed in her onesie,
right,
or one suit, whatever you want to call it,
the bathing suit, her one-piece suit. Yeah, her one-piece suit. Yeah.
He's like, you smell and you're lumpy because she had all the fish in there. He's like, hey, I tell it like I sees it. I'm a whale biologist. Like he's allowed to be a dick because he's a whale biologist.
And then when he's doing his thing about like, it's like, yeah, why don't we all clap for Mushu, the whale who thinks she's better than you or whatever. He's better than you. And then we kind of make Mushu jump through this hoop because I'm the one who's boss. Like he's so like
now jump Mushu jump.
Like there's another one too, like, what's the word there? Like he's so resentful of this whale.
Yes.
Salty.
There's another one too, like when we switch back to Leela talking about, and another reason why whales kill is just for the sheer fun of it.
Yeah.
Which is like, you know what? They kind of do. Yeah. Like
they actually kind of do.
Yeah. Like killer whales aren't technically whales, but they are. They are dicks. They're quite evil.
Yeah, they
hunt.
They're hunters of the sea. That's why they're called killer whales. Yeah, the orca.
Sharks aren't evil. They just have teeth and they just bite.
Carnivores. They have to eat meat.
Yeah, exactly. Dolphins and killer whales. They're dicks, man. They're terrible creatures.
Smart. They're too smart. So I'm actually going to go Zoidberg. I think Zoidberg has
his message is a good message, right?
Yeah, I think it's great.
Honestly, I think that's what I would do with money if the government gave me an extra bit of cash right now. Maybe I'd use it to help pay for a new vehicle right now because I need one. Yeah, food for a group or something. Hey, who wants to have burgers or something?
That's nice of you. Yeah. Well, actually, that was going to be one of my questions at the end, but yeah, no, I'd say Zoidberg is my favorite, my MVP for it. I think he drives the story quite well. I think he has the best character progression, despite the fact that my favorite scene is definitely the fry scene. But it's I think it's still good there. And at the very end, yeah, the one art please, mom making fun of him, like, oh, what a good impression of a poor person and all this stuff, and he's just like, oh man. Like, I have no idea who these people, like, I can't get with these people. I don't understand them. And then he finally
also,
realized,
mom's back
like,
in her, she's in her fat suit this time. She's not like normal mom. She's in her fat suit,
yeah,
whatever.
In
her public suit.
All of her public gatherings, she's in her fat suit.
Yeah.
This is like a nice, elegant version of it, though, right? Like a purple one with her sons. And her sons don't actually speak, unfortunately. But yeah, I'd say Zoidberg for me. Jokes, I mean, yeah, you can't go wrong with a bunch of those. Those jokes are just so great. There's one scene. What is it? Like, I don't know why. It just kind of makes me chuckle. But it has like Leela saying, "I'm going to go swim with the whales, or swim with the whale because they're the majestic, like animals of the sea or whatever." And the professor freaks out at her. He's like, "I'm well aware of that." Like it's common knowledge. So I thought that was kind of funny. Yeah, all sorts of things. The Kif and Zap Brannigan, right? Like doing their thing, and Zap runs over him in his car when Kif does this awesome little thing with the fly swatters fighting the tarantulas. I think that's
I wish they showed Kif being a bit of a badass a little more, because like he's always kind of like put down in the end of the joke, which is also funny, but like the fact that he is like second in command because he's that good.
He's
but
literally
Zap Brannigan is just such a buffoon.
Yeah. That's a funny point. Like Kif is actually super high ranking in the military, and like he's treated like a child or treated like nothing because of Zap Brannigan's charisma and everything, right?
Yeah, we do see him be cool a couple times, like in this episode, and also in the more newer one, the Hulu run with again the episode where we see the whale biologist. With that one,
yeah.
See him be a little more of a badass,
bears or whatever, the sea bears or whatever, or the water bears, Okay, well, and you kind of asked this already, Mitchell, so we kind of know what you wanted to, but I was just curious, like, so yeah, government gives you $300 extra or whatever. What do you guys do? And we'll finish off the episode.
Go out for a nice meal.
Interesting.
Not like super nice, like
I know
$40 for myself plus a drink, kind of nice.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I'd probably go
because everyone's too busy to do like, hey guys, who wants to do a barbecue or a picnic? Busy. I got things that day. I can't.
Just do it yourself. I'd go on a nice trip, like a trip worth like the $300, and not too far or whatever. But
so like one night in Banff, maybe.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Or just like tour around or whatever. Just do something fun. Get a cheap flight, go somewhere for a little bit, and come back. Yeah, I think that'd be fun.
Ooh,
yeah. How about you, Tristan? Caffeine.
300
cups of coffee.
Coffee, yeah.
$300. So is it $300 from 2003, which is quite a lot more money?
No, Tristan. I'm just saying $300 right now in your pocket
right now
that you use as a currency. What would you?
I would.
Only you would ask a question like that, you asshole. You have to make it more difficult. Yes, $300 normally to you. Go for it.
I would. I hate to say it. I would prudently invest it.
Yeah.
Into Amazon. Okay, yeah.
That totally makes sense, though.
Not Amazon. I don't like that.
Fair enough.
That's the only option you can do.
No, fair enough.
It'll own.
I'm actually happy that you said that, Tristan, because that is a very you answer. I think that's good. But all right. Alrighty, we'll finish off.
Hold on. I know. I'd put that $300 to buy almost half of a new Nintendo Switch 2. There we go.
Nice. And then use the rest. So you give yourself a discount for the Nintendo Switch 2. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
Nope. Fair enough. Yeah, we can always buy a bunch of games or whatever with it, right? So, any case, I guess that's where we'll end it for 300 Big Boys. So, thanks so much, Tristan, for joining us. It was wonderful, as always, to have you, for this episode. I'm glad that you were able to make it. And hopefully we'll have you in another episode very soon. We'll see.
Happy to be here.
Cool, man. And thanks again, Mitchell, as always, for being here. Have yourself a great rest of your night.
And you have no choice. Yeah. I'm stuck with you.
You are. And
you're stuck with me.
I am. And we'll see everybody next time for episode 12 of season 5, Spanish Fry. So have a good one.
Woo!
Take it easy.
Yeah, we'll see you later, man. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. Yeah.